Greetings, everyone. Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, sorry for the long absence, but the long and the short of it is I just needed to sort some things out at my end. Needed a bit of a break from everything. Needed to get some stuff organized, and yeah, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. And let's not waste any time with explanations or updates or apologies or excuses or anything like that. Let's just get right back into the swing of things as if nothing happened. Okay? Okay. So today on the Multimedia Chronicles, Blu-ray update time. Blu-ray update time. Welcome back. Okay, let's see what we got here. Alrighty, so in no particular order, well, I guess we'll put them in sort of order here. I got them all in my lap. I can see what they all are right now. And some nice Blu-rays. Alright, I'll quit teasing you. Okay, first up we got Hardware. Independent sci-fi, horror, thriller, post-apocalyptic, awesomeness. Got this at the local pawn shop for $10. Not too shabby. I think it retails for about 15 or 20 new. But yeah, the funny thing is when I got this, this isn't that old of a release. It's only a few months old. And I don't know, it was, I guess they just, the people running the store had never heard of it, so they just assumed, oh, this is just some low-budget schlock fest that nobody's going to care about. We'll just try to unload it for $10. And I was like, score! So, not much on the inside here, no inserts, nothing, just the disc. But this does have a lot of extras on it, actually. They really gave it the deluxe treatment. First off, the transfer is fantastic. You can go to the most nitpickiest forums and ask them about the transfer on hardware, and they will all tell you the same thing. It's basically as perfect as it can be. It's a beautiful transfer. So in terms of special features, we have No Flesh Shall Be Spared, which is an exclusive documentary featuring all new interviews with cast and crew. Incidents in an Expanding Universe, early Super 8 version of Hardware. The Sea of Perdition, a 2006 Richard Stanley short film. Richard Stanley is the guy who wrote and directed it. Richard Stanley on Hardware 2, where he talks about the ideas he had for the sequel, which unfortunately never materialized. Deleted and extended scenes, and audio commentary with Richard Stanley. So there you go. So if you're a fan of the movie, check it out. There is a DVD edition as well. They released it on DVD and Blu-ray simultaneously, and it's the first time it's ever been out on DVD at all. It's only been on VHS, and the VHS was fetching collector's prices for quite a while on eBay. Okay, so getting on to some new stuff, we have Stephen King's The Mist. Now, I was a huge fan of an audio adaptation of this that was done in the early 80s. It was a full-cast audio dramatization of the original novella that was all recorded in 3D sound. And we actually all listened to it on Old Time Radio Madness last Halloween, because Old Time Radio Madness allows me to broadcast in stereo. 3D sound is a really cool method of surround sound, also known as binaural sound, or binaural audio. Basically, the way it's recorded is it records sound using a dummy head with microphones where the ears would be. So it records stereo sound, omnidirectional stereo sound, the same way that we hear sound. So the effect is you listen to it with headphones and it's like you're there. So what a perfect medium to do an audio horror, you know? So anyway, I've been a huge fan of the audio horror for a very long time. I'm sorry to say I still have not read the original novella. I really need to get off my ass and do that. So when I heard there was a movie version coming out, I was really looking forward to it. A lot of people didn't like the ending of this one. And after watching it, I can see why. I didn't particularly have a problem with it. I just thought it made it all the more tragic and ironic and all that good stuff. I don't have a problem with not happy endings, you know, and given that The Mist is essentially another form of an apocalypse story, I was okay with it not having a happy ending, so... The Mist! And those of you who are wondering, because I know there's a few of you out there who are going to ask, I have not watched the black and white version yet. I will. This one is basically loaded with extras, as you can see. It's actually a 2-disc set, which is quite nice. So on disc 1 we have the color version as it appeared in theaters and all the main extras. We've got a feature commentary by writer-director Frank Darabont, deleted scenes with optional commentary, a conversation with Stephen King and writer-director Frank Darabont, When Darkness Came, The Making of the Mist, Taming the Beast, The Making of Scene 35, Monsters Among Us, a look at the creature effects, the horror of it all, the visual effects of the mist, Drew stirs at it, appreciated them in artist webisodes and a trailer gallery. And disc 2 has the black and white version. Yeah. Okay, well anyway, I enjoyed it. I didn't have a big problem with the ending. I just love the story of The Mist in general. And I'm a bit of a sucker for Tom Jane because I really loved him in The Punisher. I should say I really loved him as the Punisher. I really loved his portrayal of the Punisher. Forget it. I know that somebody out there, I'm looking at you, Sergeant Pepper 1138, and do not take it seriously, is probably going to edit that. It's like, Tom Jane, I love him, I love him, I love him, and just like re-edit that and loop it over and over again. Yeah. You know what I mean. Okay, next up, we got, this one was highly recommended to me by just about everybody in the Friday night chat room for months, and it was one that I really wanted to get out to see in the theater, but I just never got around to it. It's hard to get out to movies in the theater, and with the ticket prices being jacked through the roof, it's actually cheaper just to buy the movie when it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray than to go see it in the theater. So yeah, if they're trying to get people back into the theater and pull them away from their home theaters, that's not the way to do it. Sorry. But anyway, I am of course talking about Moon with Sam Rockwell, which is an absolutely beautiful, low-budget, independent sci-fi movie. Just an amazing performance by Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey as the computer, which is his sole companion essentially. Yeah, this was totally worth the wait because this is a movie I will watch again and again and again, and I just loved it. This is the kind of thing I'd really like to see more of, just truly unique and different science fiction, and sort of thinking man science fiction. Now I've heard some people complain that certain aspects of Moon aren't terribly original or unique, and there are clear aspects of it that are homages to other science fiction films. But there's a fine line between homage and plagiarism, and in this case, it stays well past the margin and well into the homage territory. And very light homage, too. It's not like it's blatantly ripping things off. I mean, there's things that you will recognize if you've watched a lot of science fiction movies and say, like, oh, okay, the director was clearly a fan of this movie and, you know, kind of worked that in as a little nod to that. But it's not like something that dominates the plot or anything like that. I think people really blow that out of proportion. You know, it's obvious that, what's-his-face, Duncan Jones, is a huge science fiction fan, and this is like his love letter to the genre. You know, and it's a wonderful, wonderful movie, and just a very satisfying science fiction film. I think it's one of the best science fiction films of the past decade. And there's no big explosions, there's no giant robots, there's no even bigger explosions. I think there might be a couple little explosions, but nothing on a Michael Bay scale. And it doesn't need it. I mean, this is a very, you know, small-scale, thinking man's, character-driven, plot-driven, mystery-driven science fiction movie, and it's great. I love it. Cannot possibly recommend. If you're looking for a really good sci-fi movie that's way different from the majority of crap that we get force-fed, check out Moon. You won't be disappointed. Next up, another one actually that, you know, I heard kind of mixed reviews of, but I've been wanting to check out because some people that I speak to on a regular basis, hi Geo19, highly recommended it and said, you know, don't listen to the bad reviews, it's actually really good. And this one is Pandorum. Now, I heard about half of you groan and the other half of you go, yeah, underrated. I tend to agree. I think this should have done better than it did. Number of things I liked about this. I liked the cast. It was a very small cast. You had Dennis Quaid, who I've always enjoyed since the 80s. Ben Foster, who, actually speaking of The Punisher, here are the 6 degrees of the 2004 version of The Punisher. We just talked about Tom Jane. Well, Ben Foster was also in the 2004 Punisher as the guy living in the apartment with the chubby guy. He had all the piercings in his face. Yeah, well, that was him. Anyway, this is the first thing I've seen him in where he's sort of the lead character. I really enjoyed it. Number of things I enjoyed about this. I thought it was actually a pretty original story. And biggest plus of all, almost no CG whatsoever. all the creature effects in this are done with guys in costumes and camera tricks and stuff like that, the old-fashioned way, and it works so effing well. I mean, I really want to see more of that. Get away from the overuse of CG. Like, for example, I Am Legend. Why were all the zombie guys CG? Why? They didn't have to be. You could have just had guys in costumes and use camera tricks to have them climbing up the walls and shit. I mean, come on. As soon as I see CG monsters, it takes me right out of the moment. Right out. Pandorum kept me right there, baby. Right there the whole time. Because there was no CG in it. I mean, there was a little bit of CG, like, for environments and stuff, but in terms of the actual thick of the action, it was all done on sets, actual physical sets, and with actual physical creatures interacting physically with the actors in actual physical space. What a concept! Yeah. So, Pandorum. Highly recommended if you're sick of the CG shitfests that we constantly get force-fed. Again, refreshingly different, and I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well in the theater, and apparently the director, Christian Olivart, actually has ideas for a couple of sequels, well, specifically a prequel and a sequel. There's a FAQ you can go to on Facebook where he talks about it. I linked it on my Twitter page. See? This is why you should be subscribing to my Twitter page, because you get cool little insider info like this. So basically what they're doing, because it didn't do too well in the theaters, is they're keeping an eye on the Blu-ray and DVD sales. So if you like Pandorum, buy it. Best of all, it's dirt cheap right now. The Blu-ray goes for about 10 bucks. I picked this up for 15. So it's like 10 or 15 bucks, depending where you shop. So you can't go wrong, and if you like a good sci-fi horror, I think it's one of the better ones that's come out in recent years. In terms of extras, we have The World of Elysium, behind-the-scenes featurette, What Happened to Nadia's Team, flight team training video, audio commentary with director Christian Olivart and producer Jeremy Bolt, deleted and alternate scenes, and still galleries. So it's a pretty well-rounded extras package. If you want to look at the inside, get another view of the arm there. And then the inside of the insert is actually the French, because this is, of course, the Canadian edition. And sorry, I think I neglected to tell you what extras are on Moon. On Moon, we've got commentary with writer-director Duncan Jones and producer Stuart Finnegan. Another commentary with writer-director Duncan Jones, director of photography Gary Shaw, concept designer Gavin Rothery, and production designer Tony Noble. The making of Moon, creating the visual effects, and more. So there's a buttload of extras on here. How are we for time? 15 minutes. Well, let's save the last two for next time. So until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. And I'm a bit of a sucker for Tom Jane because I really loved him. I really love Tom Jane. Tom Jane, I love him. I love him. I love him. I really love Tom Jane. I really love Tom Jane. I really love Tom Jane.